Economists everywhere are saying that the worst is over. They are talking, of course, about the global economy, and local financial gurus are echoing the same sentiments. Financial experts Arthur Robinson and David Knipe of Temple Financial Group tells WIV4 Business News that there is a newfound interest in the Turks and Caicos by investors and that there are signs of financial recovery for the island.
From what I've seen in recent times is that there are a few new businesses coming into the country. There are a few construction projects that have been in the hole and now trying to resuscitate itself. Other than that, I think we're gonna find ourselves where we are now into the first half of next year.
The International Monetary Fund recently announced that the U.S. economy will soon regain its dominance in the global market by the end of this year, announcing that there was a growth from 0.8% to 1.5%. Knipe tells News 4 that what happens there affects us here.
Basically, we're in a scenario within our economic environment where we're rich with resources, but so much of what happens here is dependent on what happens elsewhere in the world. We are, for all intents purposes, an emerging market, and we're dependent on capital and business coming from overseas, really, to come into the islands. And that means investment in development, investment by way of people spending money on traveling here. And I think what's going to happen is we are seeing the bottom. So I do see out in some distant time, whether it's 12 months, 18 months, that we're going to have a return, perhaps not to the boom times that we had before, but definitely to a more sustainable type of growth economy.
Knipe also suggested that tourism and development be encouraged even more by government officials.
That would change. That's a big game changer for us. And I think it's really important that industry, just not financial, but tourism and the developers, works very closely with government and regulators and legislatures to create an environment where we can actually kickstart the economy again. That's really what we need. We need something to help kickstart our economy.
But how will Turks and Caicos revive its once booming construction, tourism, and hotel industry? The two recommends that there be conformity between the private sector and the government.
I think what needs to happen is, one, right now the government is facing its own issues, as we can see. I think what needs to happen is that the government needs to build strong resolves for itself going forward in the future, so that if we were to face this situation or this downturn in the future, they have those reserves that they can actually tap into, and they could afford to give companies incentives for in terms of tax reductions, or in terms of whatever, to allow them to compete more effectively. Again, I think going forward, government has to place more emphasis or focus more on building its own reserves, so that it in turn can assist small companies